Hello and welcome back into another episode of Tobacco Road and Abroad. My name's Gareth, joined by Aiden. We've got a little bit of a playoff special for you with some NHL, NBA, PGA Championship, and then some college baseball to kind of round it out with some UFC as well. So, where do we want to start here, Aiden?
Let's start off with the NHL. Things are really heating up right now. I want to start off by giving kudos to the Carolina Hurricanes right now. Right now, dominating the series, leading 3-1 against the Capitals. Uh, it's been getting interesting. So obviously, like I knew the Caps were going to get one game in, and game two went the Caps' way 3-1. But the Canes just absolutely tore it up in their two home games against the Capitals, proving that they are a very formidable force when at home. Winning 4-0 in game three and 5-2 in game four. Like that game four, like it, I was watching it with Gareth over the phone. Like it was getting interesting. Like the Caps put up a good fight, but just the Canes were too much in the end and just like put it on in that third period. Like uh, there were a couple questionable calls that I remember, like the Capitals getting that one goal after two men being taken off the ice for penalties. One of the penalties being a little bit sketchy, but that's neither here nor there. But then the Canes were lucky, oh, like not lucky, but they got a power play back and then got an open net goal to seal the deal. That was just like the type of dominant win that you need to see, and I feel like the Canes have all the momentum right now. They go into DC Game Five tonight. I don't know how this game's going to go. I do think the Caps are going to put up a fight, but I think if it comes to Game Six, I do think the Canes are going to seal this one out. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on this series so far.
Um, I've enjoyed it. Obviously, the huge kind of narrative breaking game was game one. The Canes not only won on the road, but in overtime. Those have been kind of the Canes boogeymen when it's come to the playoffs in recent years. It's been overtimes and away losses, and the Canes took care of that in one fell swoop with a nice shot from Jacob Slavin to end out the first one. Second game was a little frustrating. The Canes just really weren't kind of able to play their game. The shots were very even, the hits were there. Um, and it was fairly even, I'd say. I mean, McMichael scoring in the second period, but then Carlson scoring on the power play. That was the first power play goal the Canes have let up all of this playoffs. So they're now 18 for 19 on defending the power play right now. Or no, sorry, they're now 18 for 20 right now on defending the power play, which is still one of the best penalty kills in the NHL, period. I know 3-1 looks a little ugly, but one of those was an empty netter when the Canes really had to go for it there at the end. Um, but from there, it's an honest. Okay, this is gonna sound weird, but in my opinion, the 5-2 game was a little uglier than the 4-0 was in terms of the for the Capitals. Yeah, the Capitals were able to get a few goals here and there, but it was the Canes were kind of able to score at will in that 5-2 game. It's whenever it kind of felt like the Caps were starting to claw their way back in. The Hurricanes were just able to. That is the one thing we have not seen. Sorry, this is kind of all over. Like what we've seen in this series has kind of been like the Hurricanes, not just like I talked about the away and like the overtime losses, but just like the narrative is the Canes in the past they've had trouble scoring in the playoffs. Like obviously with our type of offense, the type of offense the Canes run, there's going to be a lot of shots. There's going to be a high volume of shots, a lot of hits, a lot of shots on goal. But the thing that's been like the big narrative breaker is that the Canes have kind of been able to score at will. They've been able to score when they need it. When moments where it feels like the momentum's shifting away from, they're able to get a goal. The one that stands out for me is the goal by Walker. The two goals by Walker and Hall. In previous playoffs, that breakaway goal by Hall, that would have been saved. Like like the Hurricanes player would not have had the composure to put that away. Same thing with the Walker goal. In those two scenarios, it was hectic. One of them was a breakaway. One of them was just kind of like there's traffic. Canes teams of past, those players would not have had the composure to put that away, but that has not been the case. Final thing I will say about the series is we've had massive series and games from Shane Gostisbehere. I know he's been on the team for a little while, but he's been a great addition. Same thing with Stan Coven. Those have been great additions to the team. They really kind of helped bring the team together. And I know a lot of Hurricanes fans didn't think we were going to make the playoffs after letting, Jake Gensel go. Marty Necas, you guys may recognize that name from the New Jersey Devils series. Brett Pesce. Like, we let a lot of our pieces go, but I think sometimes you kind of have to cut the fat. And I'm
Yep.
not saying those players weren't valuable. Those players gave us very good minutes in previous playoffs seasons. But I think we've got our group of guys. We've got a group of guys. And by cut the fat, I don't mean like they were dragging us down, but it's kind of in the sense that for those of you who cook brisket, you know this. Like when you're barbecuing, you do want some fat because that's part of where the flavor comes when you smoke it. And you get the nice caramelization on the meat. You want to trim a little bit. You want it to be kind of evenly shaped so it cooks even. Think about it like this when I say cut the fat. Not like they were bad, but it's you want this team to mesh just perfectly, especially with like brisket and pork shoulder. You want to get the fat content down. You want to get that nice blend of meat and fat.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I'm saying here for the Hurricanes. We want that nice blend, and I think we have that. And now, as far as what I think is going to happen is, honestly think I want the Hurricanes to win. And it'll be nice, and I see a world in which they win. But I think the Caps may steal one tonight. Just kind of, they're going to come out swinging. They're on home ice. Um, their arena, it's known as a tough place to play. I think they're going to steal one, but who knows? Our boys have been pretty good on the road so far. So, are pretty decent on the road so far. So maybe they get it done. Who knows? But at the very least, I think we get it done on Saturday. If it comes to it, it gets done on Saturday. That's my take. It is like if we do not finish the job tonight, the job will be Saturday.
Yes.
They will take. Anything else you want to add for the series?
Not really. I do want to move over to the Florida Toronto series because right now Florida has just been on an absolute hot streak after some dominant wins. First two games went Toronto's way, but like we said, just if any team has the chance of like turning this around, it's Florida. And Florida has been able to just turn it on, getting an overtime win in Game 3, and that's when the momentum really started to shift. In Game 4, shutting out Toronto 2-0, and then this Game 5, it got ugly, man. I mean, 6-1. Sergei Bobrovsky, the goalie for the Florida Panthers, has been on an absolute tear after like some question. I wouldn't say questionable, but games where more points were like being scored, like letting up 4 goals in Game 3 and 4 goals in Game 1. Absolutely just putting on clinics in Game 4 where they shut out Toronto, and Game 1 only allowing 1 goal in basically a garbage time goal. Nicholas Robertson getting the goal, I think, like with 2 minutes left on the clock. Just not a good look for Toronto. Florida just absolutely turning on the Jets right now, being able to score at will with tools like Sam Reinhart able to provide 2 assists to Aaron Ekblad and Nico. Apologies, Jasper Bobkovist, Nico Mikola being able to score a goal, and Sam Bennett being able to get a goal on a power play. I believe that's his sixth of the playoffs. So real good offensive proficiency from Florida all around, and I see them taking this. I believe they're playing tomorrow night on the 16th. Yeah, I see them taking that easily on back over going down to Miami. I see this going the Panthers' way.
I do too. And it's like this Panthers team, like I watched the game today. On the power play, the Leafs couldn't even get out of their own end. Like they were up a man and they couldn't get out of their own end. I think that just kind of sums up just the way the Panthers play. The Panthers play defense very similar to the Hurricanes. Like stylistically, they like to like essentially hockey's version of a full court press. They do that the entire game. But unlike Carolina, they're more selective about their shots. So it's if these two were to meet eventually, like Hurricanes win, I think it'll be an interesting one. But like I said, I agree. The Florida Panthers take this outside of a few like slip up. Sergei Bobrovsky, he's been good. He's been a mainstay as one of the best goalies in the NHL outside of Igor Shesterkin. But Igor Shesterkin kind of had a bad year this year. But we're not going to talk about that. But Sergei I can't even Bobrovsky, 31 saves. For those of you who didn't know, he went outside following the until the goal tonight. Following their overtime win, he went almost like this is not going to sound that impressive, but for hockey, this is impressive. He went almost 2.5 hours of game time without letting in a goal. That's for him. That was 75 straight saves before letting in a goal, which that's
impressive
for a game where you've got like a bouncing oddly shaped ball on ice that's been cut up. That's impressive. that's very impressive. So, like I said, I agree. I think the Panthers take this. They're just the hot team right now, and I think it's shaping up to be an interesting finish in the Eastern Conference. Moving on, what Western Conference series do you want to go to? You want to go to the Stars, or the Oilers?
Let's just wrap up the Oilers since they got the win tonight, securing the series in a gentleman's sweep 4-1. Edmonton secures this series tonight with an overtime win, getting one goal with Kasperi Kapanen. Oilers absolutely just dominated game 4 and game 5 defensively speaking, shutting out the Vegas Knights for 2 games straight. I think that's impressive, especially when you take into fact that West Coast hockey is just absolutely insane, and it's a bloodbath offensively speaking, with just fast styles of play. Vegas was able to take game 3 4-3, but in the end, Oilers just showed dominance throughout this series, and just very impressive play from them overall. And I think they're force to be reckoned with in the West. Do I think they're going to go to the championship? I'm not necessarily sure. I think the Stars are a team that I have a lot of eyes on right now. But overall, very impressive performance by the Oilers.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is the Oilers have been able to get it done with limited production from their center, who is arguably the best center in the world, Connor McDavid. It could just be that teams have been kind of like focusing on him, and it's allowed the other stars on Edmonton to shine. But I just think that's a testament to how just well-rounded Edmonton is. That's not to say Connor McDavid has been making his presence felt in other ways. He has 17 assists on the postseason. Just fucking bonkers at this point. So I think just him being able to take, drawing in several defenders, taking the defense's attention, allowing his other teammates to shine. I think that's what's made Edmonton so dangerous is teams are just so focused on Connor McDavid from that standpoint. So they're another, like you said, I'm not sure if they're going to win because Dallas does look impressive, but I will say the Oilers are a force to be reckoned with right now, in my opinion. Heck, any of these teams left, I wouldn't want to play. It's still, hey, that's the Stanley Cup play at this point.
Yeah. But moving over to Dallas versus Winnipeg, Dallas has been absolutely dominant against Winnipeg, leading the series 3-1. The Stars have just a lot of offensive power, and I just don't know what else to say. I just don't think Winnipeg has the means to really turn this series around, especially considering how taxing that Blues series was. Going to 7 games, there's always a chance for a turnaround, but I just think the Jets right now they're tired, and I feel like this series has really been weighing on them a lot, just physically speaking, not dissing, just observing. Um, when you look at the Stars, just overall, you can look at Game Four with uh, being able to score with Macau Granlund, Granlund, the
Yeah,
center for
Granlund.
the
Yeah,
Granlund from the center for the Stars. He able to get 2 goals on the actually no 3 goals. He scored the hat trick for that series, and Mikko Rantanen secured the hat trick in Game One. There's just a lot of offensive tools for this Stars team that can just turn it on any given night. And if a player is hot, like they're going to be hot for the night. And I feel like that's something a lot of teams need to look out for, especially considering the fact that like this team just can score at will and score when necessary. But what are your takeaways from this?
just for me, it's like the Stars. It's for them. Any of their lines are dangerous. That's the thing. Is some teams you can kind of get away with. Like I've noticed this with the Capitals, where it's like a lot of their goals only really come with the top line with that has Ovechkin and Tom Wilson on it. So I'm not saying the Capitals' other lines can't score. It's just they haven't showed that in the playoffs.
Hmm.
We've seen it in the regular season, but we all know playoff hockey doesn't care how well something worked in the regular season. If it's not working in the postseason, it's not fucking working. Like that's just how it is. Like you can't just go, well, it worked all season. Well, if it's not working in the playoffs, you've got a 7 game series to sort your shit out for a reason. Like it's almost like a different beast. Like and the Stars are one of the few teams where they've been able to kind of channel that success. Now, have they been playing the same way? I haven't been able to watch them closely enough to know have they been playing the same way like they did in season. I'm not sure, but I do know it's even when the Stars are being outshot, out hit, outplayed, they're still able to get the win, like we saw the other day. Like, and I think obviously, like we talk about the offensive firepower, but it also does come down to I think Jake Ottinger has also been a big part of that. He's been able to limit the damage. I mean, outside of kind of a rough performance in Game 3 where they got absolutely blanked by Winnipeg, he's not let in more than 2 goals elsewhere within the last 5 games. Outside of that 4-0 loss, he let in 2 against the. Okay, I will say he did let in 7 against the fucking Avalanche, but other than that, Jake Ottinger's been pretty good. He contrary to that, he's been one of the better goalies in the NHL this season. Like if you look at it in terms of goals allowed per game, he's in the top 10. He's in the top 10. I know losing 7 and letting in 7 doesn't necessarily say that, but like I said, hey, the playoffs aren't the regulars. The playoffs aren't the
Everybody
regulars.
has an off night.
Everybody has an off night. Hey, yeah, no. For as good as the Canes looked, I mean, the team that the Canes are supposed to play in the next round, they got blanked by 6-0 and 6-3 back-to-back nights. So, but granted, that was back in December, and we are a very different team. That's all I will say. But that's all I've got for the Dallas series. I mean, it's just been kind of like the moral of the story is the Jets have just kind of come out flat. Like I don't know if like you said it was that St. Louis series where you might I forget if you were on air watching this, but like you said that your main worry for like the West that the team each other too much and
Yeah.
like can really lead to like just not even from like a physicality standpoint, but from a how many of those first round games went to 7? I think every single one of them went to 7 except for one.
I mean, yeah, no. So Winnipeg went to 7 against the Blues. The Stars went to 7 against the Avalanche. The Golden Knights went to 6 against the Wild, and Edmonton went to 6 against the Kings. So I feel like a big the team that's going to have a real advantage in this, like in the rest of this playoffs, are the teams that are able to get it done. Which is why I'm high on the Canes right now, and I really hope they get it done tonight just because the rest is going to be very necessary if you go up against any team, whether it's Florida, whether it's the Stars, whether it's Edmonton, or hell, if Toronto pulls it off, like going up against Toronto, or if Winnipeg pulls it off, like it's just these games tack on a lot for the players, and I you can't the teams that are able to get it done early and get it done fast are always the teams that have at least an advantage going into the game because you don't want to be going up against Florida when you just lasted a 7 game series and
Yeah.
you're asking to be played next following days. Just jump into the next series. You need that time to rest.
And that's my thing looking back on that playoff series a few years ago for the Canes is I think their previous series went to 7 before that Panther. Let me double check that. Or I at least know one of those series that the Panthers had played, or not the Panthers, that the Hurricanes had played, went to more rounds than it should have, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hold on, where is it? The Hurricanes beat the Devils 4-1. Or was it their first round one? Their first round one. Um, First round. Yeah, the Hurricanes went to 6 against the Islanders. So, I mean, that means we won our home games and lost our away games, but like the Canes really no, I'm not saying, 1 6 game series ruins it, but like that's another example where the Canes took care of the Devils in essentially they dropped one road game where they lost 7-5. But other than that, but like I'm saying, like you're saying, ideally the Canes need to finish it up tonight.
Hmm.
Like if we want the best chance against Florida, and I know we were making fun of Celtics fans for how they talk about the fucking Pacers, but now we're talking about how Carolina fans talk about the Panthers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I will say that 4-0 sweep of the Hurricanes 2 years ago is not as bad as people make it out to be. Two of those were overtime losses.
Yeah.
And do you know what the score was at the end of regulation in both? 0-0.
0.
Do you know the margin of victory the Panthers won by in every single game?
1 goal.
One goal in all 4 games. Okay, game 3 might have been 2, but 3 of the 4 wins were 1 goal. 2 of those were sudden death and overtime. That was 2 of those games were one quirky play away from being a very different series. From being a very different series. That was a Carolina Hurricanes team that could not score. So I'm not saying we should fear the Panthers, but we should have a healthy respect where we don't like if we play the. Now I know we're getting ahead of ourselves
We are getting way ahead of ourselves right now, especially by Hurricane standards.
by Hurricane standards. Yes, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. But all I'm saying is there needs to be a healthy respect if we end up with the. It's not. It doesn't need to be this boogeyman. There's two sides of this coin. Where if you're like, oh, we're up because this Panthers team has come back down from 3-0.
We are getting
But
way ahead of
also,
ourselves. We're thinking of issues that are
yeah, we're thinking of the issues.
given.
We'll address this later. But I think thinking about them as a boogeyman, but also not giving them enough respect, two different problems that end up with the same consequence in my mind.
Yes.
So I think we need to move on to the NBA before you and I get too ahead of ourselves here.
Well, moving on over to the NBA, Pacers took care of business against the Cavaliers, winning 4-1 against the Cavs. This series is just absolute domination by the Pacers. Respect needs to be given to them. and I've done that last podcast, and I will continue to do that. Absolutely able to turn it on for Game 4, where they won in response to having their first loss in Game 3. Pacers went on to beat the Cavaliers 129 to 109, and then finishing out Game 5, 114 versus 105. This Pacers team is just really good, and they are getting hot right now. And I do not want to be either the Knicks or the Celtics going up against them, because I'm not gonna lie, this is my pick for. Granted, limited ball knowledge. I do not have the same NBA ball knowledge as I do when it comes to like MMA. My predictions are usually off. I thought that Golden State was going to take care of business against the Timberwolves. They proceeded to lose every single game since our last podcast. So that's great. Losing the gentleman's sweep 4-1. But listen, I don't want to be facing the Pacers right now. They're just too offensively proficient, and they're just getting hot when it matters most. And Halliburton absolutely tearing it up in Game 4, scoring 31 points. He's just a force to be reckoned with on the Pacers. Got people like Pascal Siakam scoring 21 points. Andrew Nembhard scoring 18 points. This Pacers team is able to spread the ball around, and they're able to just get points at will. And I just am very high on them after this series. Moving on to series that are actually going on in the East right now, we got the Knicks versus the Celtics. The Celtics were able to get this win at home against the Knicks, 127 to 102. The Celtics have a little bit more life in them than I thought. I thought after losing Game 4 that the Knicks were going to take care of business, but no, this game's going to Game 6 right now in Madison Square Garden. I still see the Knicks taking this one right now. Jason Tatum is now out, had a surgery this past Tuesday, and is going to be out for the rest of the season. And granted, I see a lot of proficiency on a part of the Celtics. I just don't see them being able to really like take this one, especially considering like injuries, and I feel like they're gonna wear out in Game 6. But Game 5 had some solid performance is by Derek White scoring 34 points. Absolutely stellar game. Jaylen Brown able to score 26 points. Boston doesn't have a lack of superstars. I just think with the Knicks and how they've been able to perform away and at home, I see them taking this series eventually. But yeah, that's just my perspective of the series so far.
Yeah, I'm similar to Aiden in this boat where my ball knowledge on the NBA is limited. Whether that be because Charlotte's completely ass. We'll get to the draft lottery in a second. We'll get to that in a second.
Yep.
But I agree with you. I think the Knicks are going to get it done at home. Who knows? Maybe the Celtics pull one last hurrah. But I see a world in which they can do that. But like I said, I think just the Knicks are just too hot right now, and the Celtics have not been, outside of this past game, the Celtics have not been shooting up the standard that they need to for their offense to work as efficiently as efficiently as they need it. But if the Celtics by some miracle get through this round, I think they're just going to be so dead just from obviously missing Tatum and like everyone else having to step up. They're just going to be so dead that I think next round could be ugly. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. That is getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, Another playoff series, we've got the Nuggets and the Thunder. Thunder have been dominant, but not as dominant as I thought they're going to be. But that's and then no disrespect to Denver. OKC currently has the lead 3-2 in the series. As of right now, not too many injuries on either side. Topic's out for the Thunder. Hunter Tyson, DeRon Holmes second are both out. Some of those for the season, but you know, Matchup Predictor currently has the game 6, 61, 38, 61.8, 38.2 in favor of the Thunder. I think the big thing here is not just obviously this being at Denver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes, this game's at Denver. I just think with it being a home game, I mean, obviously they're gonna have to step it up because it's obviously an elimination game, but it can't just be Jokic. I know, averaging 30 points a game, pretty solid, but this Thunder team can blow teams out, and not just like blow teams out. They can absolutely just like
Dismantle.
dismantle, demoralize. They can drop 150 on you on a whim. I don't know how many times they've hit, I feel like there's been several times this playoffs where they've hit 150. Or not just in the playoffs, but like recently they dropped 150 on the Jazz right before the playoffs. They beat the Grizzlies by 51 and then proceeded to beat them by 40 the next night. Like
It's
this
not
is
happening again.
That's not happening again, but like
It
this
happened
team is a
again.
machine. It happened again. This team is a machine. I mean, obviously, Gilgeous-Alexander leading the team with 32 points per game. But it really kind of comes from everywhere. That it's not just one player that puts up that 150. They're able to spread the ball around. Isaiah Hardiston's another one. Their center. He's another one where they can consistently get 15 points out of him, around 15 points per game, 10 rebounds a game too. He's good. Like I said, it can't just be Jokic. The Nuggets are going to have to find other ways. And obviously, you're saying, it's a team that's capable of dropping 150. You're kind of going to have to play perfect here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it takes for the Thunder. Is what I've noticed in common with all their losses is the scoring's been not like, perfectly balanced, but it's been spread around enough where it's like, everyone's contributing. I mean, obviously some more than others. I mean, and Denver's loss. I mean, it's still pretty even. All five starters are over 20 points outside of Braun. Like I said, it's gonna need to come from everyone. It's gonna need to come from everyone. And I know I've said that about other series, but a lot of people I think in the NBA think it's about star on star. But from my limited watching of the NBA, it comes down to a lot. How well do your role players play on a given night? I think that's what this game's going to be about. It's just how well the other role players on Denver can step up.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
I mean, I just really like the Thunder in this series. Just textbook definition of very proficient and efficient. Um, Being able to basically kind of beat the Nuggets on like any terms, like whether it's a more defensive minded game, like we saw in game 4, or whether it starts to like become a shootout, like we see in game well, game 2 that was just a blowout, but like I really like their performance in game 1 where they did lose, but they just showed efficiency all around, and it only got away from them in the final seconds of the game. Uh, Game 5 also being able to kind of like just outshoot and outman them, winning 112 to 105. So I really like the Thunder, and I think they have the makings to make it to the championship. But moving over, as hinted before, Minnesota Timberwolves dismantled the Golden State Warriors, winning the series 4-1. Game two, game three, game four, game five, just absolute, just lights out from the Timberwolves being able to win on any terms. Game five, in particular, this final one, we saw the Timberwolves win 121 to 110. Timberwolves just were able to put it on in the moments that matter. Anthony Edwards, just the star of this series, in my opinion, being able to just kind of put on a great performance any night. I was just not impressed with how the Golden State Warriors were able to perform without Curry. I thought after like game one, no Curry, no problem, but it's apparent now. Like I feel like the Golden State Warriors needed the combined efforts of Curry and Jimmy Butler both working together to really get their max proficiency, and that just did not happen. And the Timberwolves took complete and total advantage of it. Final score lines in the final game, we see Jimmy Butler scoring 17 and Brandon Podsmesky scoring 28 for the Golden State Warriors. They had some playmakers, but Timberwolves able to get it done with Anthony Edwards scoring 22, Julius Randle scoring 29, Rudy Gobert scoring 17. These are like some of their big playmakers that I see making an impact in the next series, especially with Julius Randle being able to go 13 for 18 in field goals, 2 for 6 in 3 points. And Julius Randle can turn it on any night. And with the combined efforts of him and Anthony Edwards, I see the Timberwolves being a very hard team to stop. And I would love to see a series between the Timberwolves versus the Thunder.
That would definitely be an interesting series,
We got the
especially.
droid voice.
Still going.
Yes.
We'll see.
I'll tell you when it's fixed. Just mark down that at 37 minutes, things get a little sketchy. So I'll tell you when it stops. It's still going. It's, I don't know. Try disconnecting it and reconnecting it. I'm still droid voice. What? No. Oh shit. That didn't work. I just heard it make and then we're trying to what? Yeah. That did not work.
That better.
Yes.
Okay, there
Alrighty, so from like 37 minutes to 40 minutes, we should cut out. But I think just take it from your perspective of the Timberwolves.
we go. Go from the 15, so it's an even number. Yeah, in my limited ball knowledge take on the Timberwolves, I just think they're meshing. I mean, not that they didn't mesh, but I think they're figuring it out at the right time. I mean, I do think, Curry being out's kind of helped a little, but hey, sometimes you need to be a little lucky in the playoffs. That's just, it's just the nature of not single elimination tournament, but like, it's kind of like you lose that's kind of like you lose, you're out. If you have a few bad games, that doesn't matter. It's not like in the season where you've got games you can bounce back. But I just think it's been kind of a team effort. I mean, obviously Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. You mentioned Rudy Gobert. Um, this team, while I did say in other series it is about your role players and it is, but I just think and this is gonna sound weird. That I feel like the Timberwolves just have a lot of stars that mesh well. I mean, I know like not all these are like people you hear and see about every day. Like obviously like they aren't on like the cover of like 2K or anything, but like that doesn't matter. I mean, Buddy Hyde held, Buddy held. Or excuse me, not Buddy held. I read the wrong. You said Anthony Edwards. He's in certain games he's been the major stat leader and everything with rebounds, points, and even assists. I think it's different from the different from the Nuggets in the sense where they can spread it around. For me, for the Timberwolves, is that it can come from anyone. They can spread the scoring out like the Nuggets do, where everyone contributes a little. For me, the Timberwolves, it comes from someone that night, whether it be Rudy Gobert one night, Julius Randle one night, Anthony Edwards another night. It can come from anywhere, and that adds its own kind of like level of like not complexity, but that adds its own benefit where like your role players can kind of have an off night and you can kind of have someone take over, which I feel like that tends to happen a little more in the NBA. But like I said, in my limited ball knowledge, I do agree that I feel like a Timberwolves Thunder series would be fairly entertaining. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to add on the NBA?
No, but I do want to bring it over to the PGA for a second. This weekend we have the PGA Championship in Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. It looks like it's going to be shaping up to a pretty interesting weekend. Just giving some early predictions of where I think this could go. Obviously, Roy McIlroy looking to continue his success that he's had at the Masters here at Quail Hollow. He's obviously going to be one of the main contending front runners. Interesting day one groupings that are going to be highlighted. At 7:38 a.m., we're going to have Ricky Fowler, Shane Lowry, and Brooks Koepka. Shane Lowry and Brooks Koepka both uh, primed to have a pretty solid weekend. I would like to see a big performance out of Shane Lowry since didn't necessarily have the best weekend at the Masters. Brooks Koepka obviously has, as of late, been showing pretty solid performances at the major. Ricky Fowler, as much as I like him, uh, like as like probably one of my favorite golfers growing up when I was a child, he is just kind of his age has kind of been showing, and he's just not been the same that he has been since the early 2010s. Looking into other highlighted groupings, 8:22 a.m. Day one, we're going to have Roy McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele. This is almost like a weekend style lead off. Like all three of these players primed to make a very, very big impact this weekend, and I can't wait to see how both of them do. Uh, Scrolling down, see if there's any other players that are being highlighted. nobody else is giving the ESPN like highlight, but I do want to give a shout out to Bryson DeChambeau. I do think he uh, could have a very big weekend. Um, Want to see maybe who else is in this lineup that's looking pretty solid.
No
Um,
Phil the Thrill Mickelson.
I mean, Phil Mickelson, like I don't see him making any big impact, but he is going to be heading off at 7:49 a.m. with Jason Day and Tommy Fleetwood, so that could be interesting. I would like to see him make the cut, but I don't know. He's just his age is starting to show a little bit. Dustin Johnson, always interesting to see where he ends up. I think Patrick Reed might have a pretty big weekend. He's starting off with Spieth. Jordan Spieth, obviously, kind of fallen off a little bit as of late, but you never know what can happen, especially at the PGA Championship. But overall, looking like a pretty interesting weekend, and I can't wait to report on it next week.
Indubitably, I can't wait to report a Phil the Thrill Mickelson W. I'm kidding. I love Phil Mickelson. Not making fun of him. Um, where shall we proceed to next? You want to go college baseball or MMA?
Let's do college baseball.
All right. College baseball, we had an interesting and fun and anticlimactic weekend. We
Indeed.
fucking tied. What the hell? We fucking tied. Rain was like, no rubber match? No rubber match? Like, for those of you, some of you, for those of you who haven't seen the masterpiece that is the movie Megamind, um, there's a scene that's often like made a meme into, and it's him making kind of like this weird face going, no, no, and it's like you insert whatever here, and it's like him making fun of someone going, oh, you don't have this? So, no rubber match? Honestly, that's probably the best for State and Carolina here because I was looking at the RPI and there was literally outside of Pride, there was no statistical advantage for either team to play this game. So I think that played into it a little bit. That either team's RPI only would have went up one, and that really doesn't help us. Whereas a loss would have like absolutely tanked either team's RPI. So I will say, well, it sucks not to have a tiebreaker. I think the series benefited both teams in terms of both teams are kind of hot right now. I mean, obviously, Knapp looked disgusting on the first day, and I agree with Elliot Avent's plan to what I guess I thought I knew a lot about baseball, but I was not aware of the strategy called conceding the ace, where like if you've got I guess it happens a lot more in college and it's used more successfully in college where like if one team has a pitcher whose ERA is really low, you don't have him go up against your pitcher, you have him go up against your worst pitcher. And that's what NC State did. And NC State didn't just choose to go with the worst pitcher. They decided to go with true freshman Ryan Marone, who he looked solid for a few innings, but then bro just fell apart. Like, no hate to Avent, but I'm not looking at an 18-year-old kid going, hey, buddy, how about a rivalry match that's the ranked 4 team? Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up. I will say, dude was all right for 6 innings. I'll give him that. Like, I'm not going to completely trash on like this 18-year-old freshman and be like, dog your ass, because that was a tough game. But obviously, State bounced back on Saturday, or not Saturday, and on Friday in a good way. Um, the errors. The errors were kind of really a big part of it here. 3 of Carolina's 5 runs on Friday were unearned, so that's like not ideal. That game would have been like 8-1 had our fucking outfielder just like fielded a routine fly ball. But God forbid we catch routine fly balls. You know, a foul ball hit into the stands where it's only going to get you one out, yeah, why not dive and catch that into a fucking brick wall? But a routine pop up, yeah, let's let that hit the ground. The floodlights weren't even on. It's not like you could like say like it got lost in the lights. My guy, the floodlights weren't even on yet. I I will say he redeemed himself and batted in 2 runs the rest of the game. So not gonna completely dog on Josh Hogue, but like my guy, come on. And do you have any takeaways? I'm done. Like I'm done putting the players to.
I mean, you covered most of it. I mean, I thought it was a little bit unfortunate that Saturday, since it was graduation day. By the way, Gareth, thank you for the hat as a reward, as a nice graduation present for me. I appreciate it, but I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wish it was Saturday because like it was an absolutely beautiful day, and like it's just been raining nonstop here like ever since then. Sunday absolutely rained out. UNC against UNCW absolutely rained out. So it doesn't look like we're not getting a game. I mean, obviously I like the rest. Going up against Florida State, this is going to be a very big series, and I'm excited for it. But kind of wish after graduation I was able to just pull up in my cap and gown and just watch a baseball game. Like that would have been fun. But
Top
obviously,
10 moment in life.
the top 10 moment in life. Traffic would have been like just parking would have been horrible though. Like just
That's why you walk.
yeah. But overall, I'm still pretty happy, like not happy, but like obviously I would have preferred that UNC win game two and then like we would have officially like kind of swept you guys, but it's all right. I mean, State and Carolina both remain in the top four of the ACC, so that makes us eligible for a the two buys, correct?
Yep. You know, Carolina has an opportunity to do something really funny this week. If NC State wins their series against Stanford and Carolina just takes one game, NC State wins the AC. All Carolina has to do is win one game. And
Against
State has
Florida
to win
State.
two of against Florida State, and State has to win 2 of 3. And NC
Damn,
State wins the ACC. I'm
regular
just saying,
season.
regular season, yeah.
Yeah.
If you sweep them, it gets interesting
Hmm.
because then there's like I forget because with how many games have been out, who has a tiebreaker between us? Because I think if you sweep them and we go 2-1, you guys win.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting if both teams go 2 of 2. I'm like, I don't know how they'd score that with a half a game,
Yeah.
but no. Do you have any previews or things you're looking out for in your series with State? That's at
I
home,
mean,
right?
no, it's at Tallahassee. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's run it.
I mean, honestly, day one for me, I don't think is going to be your issue.
Yeah.
Like with Nap, day one's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I think the big day to get it done for you guys, it's like the day two squad's gonna have to step it up.
Yeah.
As,
And then
I'm
day
sorry,
three. And then maybe
day
some rain.
maybe Aiden's like maybe win the first two and pray for some rain.
Man, I'm praying for some rain.
Although I will say, if I watched this and Carolina is good at coming out swinging,
Hmm.
and from watching this now, I will say Cal is a tough away game. Having watched Carolina play Callaway, they played Callaway, right? Or was Cal a home series?
Hang on. Let me check. I want to say that was away, but I don't want to misinform you. So let me just. No, Stanford. What? There was Stanford. Did they even play Cal?
Or is it just Stanford?
We have not played Cal. Yeah,
But
no,
I
we
will
didn't
say,
play Cal.
from what I've noticed, with this could have just been Cal because Cal. Cal's a tough away game being in the fucking ACC. Every team, or I've noticed, Florida State came out really slow against Cal in all three of their games. Yes, do they end up winning and putting absolute belt to ass? Yes.
Yes.
But like Florida State came out really slow. If Carolina is able to get out and jump on them early and then rely on Knapp's pitching, I think game one can be, I don't want to say easy, because it's you're away at Florida State. That's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But like if they can do that, I think then just kind of really lock in game two. I think they can take the series 2-1. Like
Yeah.
I really think I
Droid
still
voice again.
What about it?
No.
Oh, we'll sleep that a little bit. I really hold the belief that I don't want to say Florida State hasn't played anybody, but in the grand scheme of things, the ACC, Florida State hasn't played anybody.
I mean, it's
Like,
getting better.
I mean, it's getting better. I mean, they were playing number 4 UNC, but like,
And your voice is getting a little bit better.
it's no longer droid voice.
A little bit. Like it's 50-50.
Oh well, we'll see. I'll fix it.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. I'll forget and post it anyway.
Holy shit, it's better. No, it's actually working.
Okay. I'll just mark down the timestamp then.
Yeah.
But no, I think Carolina can realistically take this series. My main concern, like I've talked to Wade, and it's probably going to be the day 2 squad. Is the day 2 squad going to have the performance they had against State or the performance they've had the rest of the year? That's all I'm going to say. And ultimately, I don't think it was that bad. I just think State was able to hit a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, hey, Florida State's a big bat team where if Knapp can be a strikeout pitcher, but he's also really good at forcing weak contact. If he can force a lot of weak contact on this Florida State team that relies on a lot of big bats, I think they'll be. Now, when it comes to State series against Stanford, I'd like to think that we could win the series. But Stanford's had some kind of screwy results this season. So, but ultimately, I think State can get it done. I think we'll probably win the series 2-1. I don't want to predict a sweep, and then us just get absolutely fucking obliterated. But I predict a 2-1 win. I think State will take the first 2 days and maybe seed Sunday. But you never know. Maybe it'll fucking rain again. Who knows? Maybe we don't even get the series in. But I think that's why we're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, is in case it gets rained out, we can make it up easily and don't have to double header at this time of year. But like I said, outside of the Miami series, I'm very happy with where State is. And they're slated. I think both State and Carolina are slated to host a regional. NC State being the 15th national seed, despite being ranked, I think it's a little bit of a slap in the face. Like, yes, did we lose to Coastal Carolina early in the season? But yeah, that was like
that's nobody's business.
You know who's also lost to Coastal Carolina? Clemson, but they're not being fucking knocked for it.
Yeah.
They're not being penalized for that. Now, yes, is Clemson not hosting a regional anymore? Okay, yes, they're being penalized for it somewhat. But like, I don't know.
Who are the teams that are slated to host a regional right now? Do you have the list?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Some of these, let's see, D1 Baseball's Instagram.
Like, obviously, we got FSU, UNC, LSU.
All right, here are the regionals as of Monday morning. So this is going to sound weird. LSU is the number 1 team in the nation, but they're not slated to have the number 1 overall seed.
Okay.
The current regionals are Austin, Morgantown, Baton Rouge, Raleigh, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Tuscaloosa, Tallahassee, Fort Worth, Nashville, Corvallis, Oregon, Athens, Georgia, Los Angeles, Auburn, Conway, South Carolina, Chapel Hill, and Eugene, Oregon. Those are the
Okay.
top 16 seeds. Now, they're not ranked. Those are not in order. NC
Yeah.
State being the 15th seed, despite being, I think, 12th or 13th. I think a sweep this season, I think a series win this weekend and a good performance in the ACC tournament will help knock us up. Because if I'm being honest, and Super Regional in Baton Rouge is not ideal. And the alternative to that would be a Super Regional against Miami, who we just did not play well against.
Yeah.
Now I think if Miami were to win that the Baton Rouge Regional, the Super Regional would then go to Raleigh because they would be the highest remaining seed. But I will say that Raleigh Regional is full of a lot of teams I don't like, especially that 3 seed team. Like, who the fuck are these Yukon Huskies? Like,
Damn.
I'll I'll go home to Raleigh and throw trash at them. I'll take off of work to go throw trash at the Yukon base. Disclaimer: I would
Wait,
not actually do that.
is the Fort Worth, Texas, is that Dallas Baptist or like hang
Texas
on.
Christian.
Okay, okay. TC, because I was thinking for a second because I know Dallas Baptist is ranked. I was like, there's no way they have a scheduled.
Now, there's a team that I think is getting absolutely snubbed when it comes to hosting a regional. The University of California, Irvine.
Oh yeah.
You're giving a regional to number 19 Alabama and not number 12 UC Irvine. You're just saying, fuck. Okay, hold on. I'm going to note down the time because this is going to be my rant of the episode. This is going to be my rant of the episode.
All right, go off, King.
So, I think in terms of the regionals, UC Irvine's getting kind of screwed here.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving a regional to number 18 Alabama. You're going 2 spots beyond where you're supposed to go beyond. Like, and I know this is just a prediction, and I'm not calling out my friend who works at D1 Baseball. I respect his opinion, but and I realize this is just a prediction. But skipping over the number, like if this doesn't end up happening, skipping over the number 12 team, who's ranked ahead of the likes of NC State, UCLA, Clemson. Now, Clemson doesn't have a regional, but skipping over teams like that is based on this. Who's not getting a regional? Who's getting a regional instead of Clemson then as well?
I mean, UCLA is getting a regional, and UC Irvine is not because they
UC
said
Irvine's
LA.
not.
You said Los Angeles was a
Yeah,
place.
UCLA's lost.
Morgantown, West Virginia is.
They're 16th though.
Yeah, but
UCLA's 14th. I'm
UC
trying to figure out.
Irvine is 12. So I'm just saying teams that are like getting it.
I'm trying to figure out who's getting Clemson's spot because UC Irvine spots Alabama go on to Alabama. Alabama's the 12. I'm trying to find out who is stealing. Because Coastal's 11th. So that makes sense. Coastal at the 11th seed. Who is in here who is not in the top 15? TCU slated to get a regional and they're not in the top 25.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's TCU? Because like,
Yeah, I'm looking at the Fort Worth Regional at national seed TCU. It may just be because it's 3:00 in the morning, but I may be tripping. But you don't see a TCU there, Aiden, in that top 25, do you?
no. I'm
What
looking.
the fuck?
I'm trying. Okay, so like top 25. LSU, Florida State, Texas, North Carolina, Oregon, Auburn, Oregon State, Arkansas, Vandy, Georgia, Coastal Carolina, UC Irvine, NC State, UCLA, Clemson, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Southern Miss, Duke, Louisville, Troy, Florida, Dallas Baptist, Northeastern.
You're really looking at UC Irvine and Clemson and going, "Fuck you." Not you. I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
committee. The
yeah,
committee's looking at them and saying, "Fuck you personally," to
pretty
Clemson and
much,
UC Irvine.
pretty much.
Now, as someone who, being an NC State fan, who's grown up, with the rivalry with Clemson and not necessarily liking Clemson, like, that's fair. But like, come on. Like, I get RPI factors into it, but at some point you got to look at just wins and losses. Like, I know RPI, is like quality of wins, but like, at some point, did you fucking win or did you fucking lose? I don't care that you beat one good team back in May or back in March and it skyrocketed your RPI. But like, if you're not in the top 25, I'm sorry, you should not be in a conversation for hosting a regional. I'm sorry. You should not be in conversation for hosting a super regional unless by some stroke of luck, you upset the national seed in your region and the other region you're paired up with, their national seed gets upset. Okay. Okay. I can see that. But like giving them the 13 seed, you're putting them above NC State and UCLA and UC Irvine, who NC State has swept the top 5 seed, split with a number 4, and has 4 sweeps on the season. TCU has none of those. None of those. I don't know. That's my rant for today. But anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I mean, I'm really excited for conference tournaments to start heating up, start off next week. Excited to see uh, ACC, SEC play. Um, should be pretty interesting. We're finishing off this regular season week with some solid matchups. Going. We got Auburn versus Ole Miss. That should be a pretty solid series. I'm interested in seeing Alabama versus Florida. That should be pretty good. That's a top 25 matchup. I'm not going to be able to see it because I don't know where I would. But Troy versus Southern Miss, you got a top 25 matchup in the Sun Belt. So that's some pretty interesting stuff right there. Tennessee versus Arkansas, you got 8 versus 17. And that pretty much sums it up for notable top 25 matchups, unless you obviously include UNC versus Florida State, the number 2 versus the number 4 team in the nation. So I'm excited to see that one on live TV. Like, that's going to be fun. And another ACC matchup that I feel like is worth noting is going to be Duke versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has crawled its way up into the top 4 of the ACC, with Duke just being on the outside looking in, but Duke is ranked number 20. This should be a pretty interesting matchup. I think a lot of implications are going to be had with the ACC tournament with this series. So that's going to be like not my under the radar series pick, but like one that like we haven't been highlighting as much, but has some serious implications.
Yeah, I agree. It's going down. Like it's the crunch time for college baseball. This is where time of the season where seasons are made and broken. It's
Indeed.
There are people, they're not going to get it done this weekend. It's going to horribly affect their seating. But hey, that's the beauty of the sport. So
UNC still definitely got a like they secure their seed like this week, right? They could lose against Florida State and like be swept, and they're still in the top like contention for a home series, correct?
I think they'd most likely keep their top 16 seed, but I don't think they'd keep the top 8 seeds. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
that
think they'd
makes
be
sense.
in contention for a super regional unless the region they're paired up with got upset. Like, the regional seed got upset.
Yeah,
Like like unless Carolina like royally fucks up, like I'm talking like gets like run ruled in all 3 games and gets run ruled in their first game of the ACC tournament. Like outside of that, I don't like even then I think they'd still keep.
yeah,
No. State, I feel like they've still got stuff to prove. I think for State, in my opinion, unless they royally fuck up, I only think this weekend in the ACC tournament can help them. So
yeah,
it'll be nice if we're able to take care of business, and then even if we don't win the ACC, if we win like a game or two, and beat like a good team or two, I feel like that'll help our cause.
you know what? As long as you get in the tournament, that's all that really matters.
That's what I've learned with the NC State's team. As long as they're in the tournament, they usually make some noise, like regardless of where they end up. It's worse. I've seen worst case scenario. NC State ends up in the Conway Regional, and like the last time NC State ended up in a regional that was near home, they weren't the number 1 seed. They went to the College World Series finals, lost to COVID. So yeah, they lost to COVID, not Van. The series was 1-1.
Yeah.
But no. Anything else you want to add for college baseball, or is it time to go on to
UFC. It's time for the
oh yeah.
UFC. Alrighty, so we're gonna finish off this episode unless Gareth has like maybe some soccer updates. We have just finished up UFC 315 in the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada. It was a pretty good card that they had on their hands. I'm not gonna lie, the star power on this was like kind of lacking, but overall, some very solid fights. And a lot of MMA news has been going down these past couple days, and I can't wait to jump into it. But starting off on the card, in the lightweight match, we had Benoit Saint Denis submitting Kyle Petrolic by arm triangle, being able to get it done in the second round. Natalia Silva takes down Alexia Gracio in the women's flyweight by unanimous decision. Judges had her winning all 3 rounds unanimously. It was an utter dominant performance by her. In the featherweight division, we had Amian Zahib versus Jose Aldo. Amian, Amian won by unanimous decision. Judges scored the fight 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. Looked like Jose Aldo was able to, I believe it was the second round, if I'm not mistaken, that he was able to make some noise. But other than that, good performance by Amian, being able to land 109 strikes and 99 significant strikes against Jose Aldo. Going on to the championship fights, we had Valentina Shevchenko beat Manon Fiorot. Uh, Valentina Shevchenko continues her dominant run in the women's flyweight division, winning by unanimous decision 48-47, 48-47, and 48-47. This was just a overall very good fight. Valentina Shevchenko able to uh, edge out 3 rounds against uh, Manon. But I think for Valentina Shevchenko, the next obvious fight has to be Natalia Silva, just the way she was able to handle Alexia Gracio. Uh, Leads me to think that's going to be the next fight for the women's flyweight. And right now, Valentina Shevchenko is playing with house money at this point. I feel like she's solidified herself as one of the women's flyweight goats, just being able to take on challenge after challenge, and with her age, being able to make the series with Alexia Gracio interesting, losing the first one, drawing the second one, and winning the third one, just proves to me that she's still on the up despite her age, and I'm excited to see where she goes from here. But the main event of tonight was an absolute just treat. Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Mandela, JDM. JDM was able to win this one, and I thought it wasn't close, but Bilal Muhammad put up one hell of a fight. Strikes were just going around, and it was an absolute slugfest. JDM able to land 200 strikes against Bilal. Bilal landing 155 against JDM. Strikes were going everywhere. Bilal was able to take down JDM 3 times, but there were no submission attempts. And in the end, the fight was only on the ground for about 4 minutes in total. Bilal was able to get 3 minutes and 21 seconds of control time, while JDM was able to get 40 seconds. This one was mainly on the feet, and shots were being thrown on both sides. Both of these fighters just absolutely had like like they were both messed up at the end of this one. Honestly, like I respect Bilal's fight in this one a lot, and the judges scored this fight, JDM winning 48-47, 48-47, with one judge scoring it 49-46. This one was pretty close. Consensus is that JDM was able to win 3 rounds, just enough to get it through. One judge saying he was able to win 4 rounds. I think that was a little bit of a stretch, but overall, I think JDM is going to be a very I'm excited to see what happens in the welterweight division, because this is a very interesting time for the division, given light of new news for this past couple days. Breaking in, Islam Makhachev, the former lightweight champion, has vacated his title and is now going up to the welterweight division. It is expected that he is going to be fighting JDM for the welterweight title. I would be very excited for this fight. I mean, there is an immense history between these two fighters. I could go into it in another podcast, but I think it would be a very interesting fight. Islam Makhachev has been pretty dominant in the lightweight division, and it was expected that he was going to go up against Ilia Topuria, as he vacated his title to go up to the lightweight. But that is no longer happening, and Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira are going to be fighting for the lightweight title in the coming weeks. So I'm excited to see that. But Islam Makhachev moving up to welterweight, I think it's a very interesting move for him. He was very good at lightweight. This JDM fight is going to be very hard. I know there's going to be narratives that Islam's going to be ducking Ilia Topuria. I don't think that's happening right now. I think this is just a very interesting business move on his part, and I think I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend now. Like people trying to contend for double champ status is starting to become a product of the past. I mean, it really kind of fell off. I mean, after. Um, like it was pretty big back in the late 2010s and early 20s, but I think we're going to start noticing a trend away from this since Volkanovski had his fight against Islam Makhachev. I think fighters are starting to realize that like double champ status isn't the greatest. We saw Alex Pereira vacate his time. Well, he didn't really vacate. He lost Israel Adesanya and just pledged to move up a division, and then he absolutely uh, just ran house in the light heavyweight division for uh, a couple weeks. I mean, a couple months, just on that legendary 2024 run. But I think fighters are going to start moving away from seeking double champ status and just start pursuing championships individually. And once they believe they're done, they're not going to seek that double champ status and just vacate the title and move on. And overall, I think that's a good way to keep the divisions moving along. So you're not waiting to see who's the real champion with like interim championships. So I'm really excited to see how the UFC landscape shapes up over these next couple months. Things are going to be heating up this summer. Next pay-per-view card is going to be June 7th, where we got Marab going against Sean O'Malley in UFC 316. International Fight Week is going to be June 28th this year. UFC 317 with Ilya Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. So that's also around the corner. And then we're getting back-to-back UFC pay-per-views with July 19th. There might be a fight night scheduled in between, but I don't think they're going to do that. We're going to get UFC 313 immediately followed a couple weeks after with UFC 318, where we have Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3. I believe they're going to be competing for the BMF title, perchance, maybe. I think that was on the table, but it's going to be in New Orleans with Dustin Poirier being sent off. I'm really excited for that one. I would love to see him leave on top with a win in New Orleans. Like that's going to be crazy. Like like that's going to be a legendary card. I can't wait for it. Um, any other fights that? Oh, later this August, August 16th, we have Dricus du Plessis versus Hamzat Chimaev in Chicago. Dana White just said, you know what, fuck it, we're putting them in Chicago. I didn't even know Hamzat Chimaev could really compete in the USA. I thought that might have been illegal because he usually only fights in like Abu Dhabi, but they're going. Hey, we got a Chicago Pope. Dana White was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to put a gay South African and a Muslim fighting each other in the middle of Chirac for the excuse me, they're going to be fighting for the middleweight champion. That's going to be really interesting. I'm excited for it. It's like I just future like this whole card hasn't been fully announced yet. We only have this title fight announced, but Hamza Chimaev 14-0, Dricus du Plessis, man, I've been saying it, like he has middleweight plot armor. Like his only wins as a champion has been up against Awash Israel Adesanya and a Sean Strickland twice. Sean Strickland, okay, I loved like interesting guy. I think Sean Strickland won the first fight against Dricus du Plessis, but then that second one, like I don't know, Dricus du Plessis just kind of has plot armor. I think Hamza Chimaev is really going to test him, and it's going to be a really interesting fight. I can't wait to see it. I think you see the thing with Dricus is he's usually able to like turn a fight around and swing momentum really easily. Like he could be getting absolutely demolished in the first two rounds, but then once that round three hits, he starts turning it on. There are questions about Hamzat Chimaev's gas tank, saying that his cardio is not the best. I haven't really been seeing too much of that. Like from my perspective, I don't think he's like has horrible cardio. So I think this is going to be a good fight, and I can't wait for it. Dana White has been blessing us with amazing fights this summer, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait to jump into them, and that just sums up my UFC recap.
I'm looking forward to this summer being able to get a little bit more into it, expand my knowledge beyond Patty Pimblett and Sugar Sean. I'm starting to learn. Like Aiden gave me the lore of Ilya Topuria. It's like, then who's why am I like the guy who changed the weight classes?
uh, I told you that Islam Makhachev changed weight
Yeah,
classes. Yeah, yeah.
I'm learning about still learning about the politics. I remember that there are certain fighters that are allowed in the U.S.
Yes.
I know that. You
Well,
know,
Hamzat Chimaev is apparently allowed in the U.S. now because he's going to be fighting in Chicago. I did not know that.
is is he the one whose coach is a Chechen?
No, he's friends with no, friends is a uh, kind of a little bit of an oversimplification, but he knows a Chechen warlord pretty well. So there's that. Hang on, I'm trying to see.
Oh, so I
When's the
was right.
yes? I'm trying to see when was the last time uh, Khamzat Chimaev fought in the U.S. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know if he's ever. Hang on.
Should be.
Okay, so he only fought in the U.S. twice. That was in Vegas when he fought Kevin Holland in 2022 and Robert Whitaker in 2023. I'm not gonna lie. After a little while, they were just kind of scheduling him only in Abu Dhabi, and I was like, "There's got to be something going on." Like I know he pulls well there, because like the Abu Dhabi, like UAE, like they always pull up for like Muslim fighters. Like they could be from anywhere, as long as they're Muslim. Like they will pull up. So I know it's a great pull. But I was just wondering for a little while. I was like, when's the last time he fought in the U.S. and why does he only fight once a year when they're in Abu Dhabi? And that's interesting. Google, show me the history of Hamza Chimaev.
Show me his search history.
Google, why is Hamza Chimaev with Vladimir Putin? Nah, he's not friends with Putin. But
But you know
I
who
think
is?
Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev.
Nope. The star center for the Washington Capitals, Alex Ovechkin, is friends with Vladimir Putin.
Interesting.
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 Another reason to root for the Hurricanes.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry, continue.
Nah, but I'm pretty excited for the summer. The summer's going to be very stacked when it comes to UFC cards.
It is, and I am hoping to learn more
Oh
about it
wait,
and not
I
have.
want to go into a rant right now. Can I get a quick rant?
Oh no, you can have a long rant if you like. Go for it.
Alrighty. You know what? I wasn't going to say this because I don't even know if he's going to be fighting anytime soon. Hang on, let me see if he has a fight scheduled. Alrighty. Yeah, no, he doesn't have a fight scheduled. But Israel Adesanya basically declared for retirement. And did he actually say, "Hey, I'm retiring"? No. He just dropped a video with him training with David Goggins, which is basically the UFC equivalent of saying, "Hey guys, I'm cooked and I'm out of ideas. I need some form of clout." And listen, listen. I love David Goggins. Okay, like listen, like David Goggins, inspirational story. And I've read his book. I think he has another one out. I might read it this summer. I loved Goggins. Do I think some of his stuff's a little bit out there? Yes, but you know what? He's crazy. I like him, and in a weird way, he's kind of motivated me to like go to the military. But like, I'm not saying I'm going to the military because David Goggins told me to. Like this is something
Yeah,
that I'm starting the process of. But like inspirational guy, like him a lot. I like some of the Goggins books. What the fuck does he know about the UFC? Is what I'm trying to say right now. Because David Goggins is like the kiss of death for UFC fighters. I think he's only technically coached one fighter to victory, and that was John Jones. And John Jones didn't need David Goggins. That was just kind of a publicity stunt on both ends, where David Goggins was just standing at the end of the ring, going like, "Oh yeah, who's gonna carry the boats? Let's go, let's go." Like, why he went to Tony Ferguson, a guy who has amazing cardio, by the way, and put him through like one of his Hell Week boot camps and just was absolutely gassed against his fight against Paddy Pimblett. And now I'm seeing videos of Israel Adesanya training with David Goggins. By the way, God love you, David Goggins. Why the hell are you pulling up to Israel Adesanya's house without your shirt on and just like standing there like, so yeah, Put
you're
me,
just a bitch.
put. No, 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 no. He was kind of glazing in Israel Adesanya. I'm not gonna lie, because he was like, "Alrighty, tell me when you were fighting Alex Pereira and you won, put me in there, put me in that moment right there." And Israel Adesanya is just saying like, "Oh yeah, well, I was fighting him, and he had that, bro, man. I've been there before. I'll tell you, I've been there before." Okay, okay. What do you mean you've been there before? David, yes, you've been in the military. Yes, you've been in ultra marathons. Yes, I don't think you've been fighting Alex Pereira, but he's like, man, I've been there before. Where you're fighting, you're going up against something, and you're like, man, this is gonna kick my ass. But then when you're able to turn it around, you're able to turn it around. Mind you, he still has his shirt off throughout this day. They're just standing in their front yard, just saying, you're able to turn it around right now, and then say, I got this. And then Israel Adesanya is just standing there like, yeah, man, I was, he had me for a second. And then I put that hook in. I saw that in my shower. I was in the shower. I was visualizing it and I was
They're still
manifesting it.
shirtless in the front yard.
No, no, Israel Adesanya has the shirt on. David Guy is just standing there shirtless, just absolutely visualizing the moment, going like with the ball of the head glistening in the sun, just like, yeah, yeah, I've been there. I've been there. And Israel Adesanya is just saying, I've visualized this in the shower before. I said, if I get this moment, I'm going to foo, 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 get him. And then I got him. And then I did the 3 arrows because that's his thing. That's his thing. He does the arrows. I did the 3 arrows and I absolutely conquered my demons. And then I went on there and I did my speech and I said, people of Earth. By the way, it was a very inspirational speech. Like it was a nice moment. Like, Israel Adesanya was able to like conquer one of like his biggest adversaries in fighting. Like a very emotional moment. But like it's a little bit weird when it's being recreated in a front yard with David Goggins just standing there shirtless, and then like three bodyguards behind Israel Adesanya, and Israel Adesanya just explaining to David Goggins how he visualized something in the shower. You can look this up. This is a real thing. I saw this. But so they do this, and Israel Adesanya basically says that like he's going to be training with David Goggins to like get him out of his rut. Israel Adesanya is on like a what? A 3 fight losing streak right now. I'm sorry. It's not looking good for bro. Training with David Goggins is the UFC equivalent of filing for bankruptcy. Like you're kind of cooked at that point. So like I, I I don't know. That's just something interesting that I've been seeing on the internet, and I just wanted to bring attention to it. I got love for Israel Adesanya and David Goggins, but I just think like if they're doing it for clicks, good on them. Honestly, they deserve it. They deserve all the attention. They're some very inspirational people, and I like if more people are able to like be drawn by their stories and are able to be motivated to like do better. I'm all for that, but like if you can't go to David Goggins for actual like fight advice because David Goggins is not a person. David Goggins said stuff that personal trainers would like actually piss their pants about. Like he's the type of dude to say like, "Hey, if you have anything left in the gas tank, burn it." And then even go even further. If you're not sore over your next day, like you're just a bitch. Like, okay, some people need to hear like, okay, you need to train harder. And like I think that's something a lot of people need to hear. People like I think as he said before, like are usually do their 40% and they think that's 100%. But like I don't think that's a good advice for UFC fighters. This is like the 1% of 1% of like mentally ill people that already are like, I need to take it to the extra limit. So you just telling them you need to take it to the extra limit. That's just that should be liable for like provoking somebody to basically kill themselves at that point. Because like, bro, they need help. They need to be told when to stop every now and then. They don't need David Goggins going like, yo, if you tap out now, you're just a bitch. He doesn't say that, but like I'm over characterizing people, but like I don't know. I like David Goggins, as I've said enough. I don't want anyone to come after me for this, but I'm just saying I just don't think it's the best move for a UFC fighter to be training with him if you want to be like a better fighter. If you want to get better with some cardio and maybe like find yourself a little bit and you don't have a fight scheduled, I think it's a good idea. Like hell, train with David Goggins, why not? But if you think you're gonna like your secret to success is gonna be David Goggins, I just don't see that happening because the results have varied. You can't tell me John Jones was a one because of David Goggins. John Jones is a sociopath, like absolute killer. And I think David Goggins was just there, like just for moral support, which I love. But like David Goggins did not coach John Jones to beat Cyril Gahn. Like that did not happen. But anyway, that's just my rant over. Yeah.
I love all the politics of the UFC. It's just kind of interesting just to learn about.
Yeah.
But no, that's all I've got. Do you have anything else?
Nah, I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully we'll have a little longer episode for you guys next week with the finishing of several NHL and NBA playoff series. We'll have
Yeah.
the penultimate weekend of college baseball behind us, going into conference play or conference tournament play, and of course Selection Monday. So
Mhm.
I know that sounds weird, but it's Selection Monday. So I think I don't know. Don't quote me on it. Might be Selection, but thank you guys for listening in. Talk to you guys next week. Hopefully, have longer.
Yep.
Thank you.